Was honestly expecting a line.
I think this is it, the M2 2022. Looks exactly the same like the M1, has a touch bar and everything. I am recording from the M2 MacBook Pro. I went onto the MacBook Pro to find out that there was no Final Cut Pro on here, so I went to another M2 MacBook Pro that did have Final Cut Pro. I just started playing around with some Final Cut stuff and stock footage, and airdropped it to a different device, the M1 MacBook Air. Then I opened it up on the M1 MacBook Air, made it the same settings, and started to export the video. The results were honestly quite surprising. At first, it looked like the M2 MacBook Pro was about to beat the M1 MacBook Air by 2 times, but then the M1 MacBook Air caught up or something. This could be because Final Cut Pro is not fully optimized on the M2 MacBook Pro, and we could see big improvements to the M2 MacBook Pro's Final Cut Pro speed later this year. I also was able to run a Geekbench test on the M2 MacBook Pro. Here are the results compared to the M1 MacBook Air. One of the reasons I would stay away from the M2 MacBook Pro is the touch bar. As you can see right here, I'm pressing the FN key and it has a weird latency on the touch bar. Also, the fact that the touch bar replaces the function keys makes me really sad. I prefer function keys. Now, which MacBook should you get? Personally, I would recommend the M1 MacBook Air for the average consumer, the M2 MacBook Pro for people who like the touch bar, and the M1 Pro or M1 Max MacBook Pro for those who actually need the performance. Also, I would wait before buying the M2 MacBook Pro and the M1 MacBook Air. I personally wait for reviewers like me to review the M2 MacBook Air before you decide on a purchase. Also, I will be reviewing the M2 MacBook Air when that comes out as well. Thanks for watching, comment, like, and subscribe, share this with your friends, and I hope you decide on your next MacBook purchase. See you in the next video!